Hello and welcome to the Gamers Tavern. I am Daryl and I've been playing through the BattleTech campaign mode from the video game From Harebrained Schemes. I've been doing it on our Twitch channel over at twitch.tv/Gamers Tavern Show, but I've been doing a lot of playing offline as well, mostly because the game does require a lot of grinding to get through the plot, because you want to take contracts to get money so you can go on missions, so you can pay your monthly fees and so on and so forth. And it's something that gets rather tedious. There's also a lot of busy work in the game, like when you get new mechs, you want to redo them, you want to recustomize them, redo the weapons, and honestly, watching me sit there and fiddle with all that on stream is kind of, I'll go into this a little bit more detail later, but a lot of the stuff I've been doing off stream. But one thing that I wanted to do was every single actual plot mission. The problem is the liberation of Weldry is a plot mission that ends with you, spoiler alert, getting a new drop ship. It's not technically a drop ship because you still use the Leopard to drop your mechs, but it is a short-range transport vessel. It's not capable of jumping itself, but it is basically your home base. And like most games, like BattleTech that are strategy games with a campaign mode, you are leveling up your base as you go. And that's another thing. I didn't want people sitting there watching me play through the menus. So I went ahead and recorded this off stream. I also recorded a bunch of other stuff. I'll talk about this during the streams, during the viewing as well. But I'm recording this commentary track after I've already played the game, this level, and beaten it. So I'm going to be talking over what I did and trying to explain why I did what I did, and talking about basically all the stuff in BattleTech that's coming up in this. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And if it looks a little funny, it's because, again, this is recorded, so I'm playing in VLC while I'm recording this. So the mission, the priority missions always show up as a priority mission at the top. You don't have to take them in any order. You have to take them in order as they come, but you don't have to take them at any given time. You can put them off for forever. This is Alexander Madria. He is with the Coalition to Restore Kamiya to the Throne. This is Kamiya Arano. She's from the very first mission. And what they're explaining is that she's been in hiding for the past 3 years. And now she has decided that taking back Weldry is going to be the first act she does to declare, basically, we're declaring war on the directorate. Now, they're explaining the mission in here, and I would be reading it off, but you can also read it yourself, and it gets a little complicated. But basically what the director is doing is he is holding political prisoners, and they're in a prison on this planet, along with family members of theirs. So that way he can control them, saying, okay, you do what I say, or your daughter, your wife, your mother, your son, your cousin, your brother, your sister, whoever, will do things to them. They'll be treated nicely as long as you treat us nicely. And it's a very Machiavellian kind of thing to do. You may know, if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you may know this is what the fostering system in that, and it's based on real world medieval politics. What they would do is they would send noble sons to other houses to foster them, both as a means of protecting the peace. You're not going to attack the next duke over if he's got your second son, are you? It also created bonds between them. That's not what he's trying to do. He's basically a control method. This section I thought was kind of a nice little flavor because they're talking about the mosquitoes that are on the planet. The only problem is I live on the Texas-Louisiana border in the swamps. Mosquitoes the size of your thumb are just mosquitoes here. But I thought it was kind of cool if they added in that little detail. Because there is native flora and fauna on all the planets. There's no sentient life. Right now, I'm asking her why she's got an army. Why doesn't she send a whole company to liberate the prison? Why is she sending us? It's supposed to, and what it is, it's supposed to be a misdirect. The main thing is, the main force is going to take the capital, while I'm sneaking in and they're distracted to take the prison, so that hopefully it'll reduce the chances of anything happening. It'll be a surprise attack. Everything else will be distracted somewhere else, and it's supposed to be lightly guarded with just garrison vehicles and turrets, which shouldn't be too hard to take out. You'd think. This was the loadout I had this time. The only 2 mechs on this roster that I'm still using at my current game is Decker still has the Jenner, and Behemoth is still in the Centurion. Or I may have switched it up and put Glitch in the Centurion when I got a different mech, but anyway, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this off stream is because a lot of the grinding is really boring. A lot of the mech customization is really boring. No one wants to sit there and watch me fiddle for, it takes me sometimes 20-30 minutes just playing with the mech to get it just min-maxed and optimized just right. Right now I'm trying to get as much lay of the land as I can, which I can't get much information because my sensor range isn't reaching that far, but it is letting me give me an idea of where the prison is, where I'm supposed to be going, and those turret generators are going to be important to know where they are later. And one thing that I have done, by the way, is I have recorded all of the videos of me doing this grinding, and I've edited them. I'm in the process of doing this. This is going to take a little while because it's kind of a big project. It's like 16 hours of footage. I've already gone through it all. I've already tagged it. I've already clipped it, and I'm currently editing it down, recording voiceover for it. I'm going to be editing it down to about hour and a half or so of clips that either illustrate what the game is about, have little plot moments that pop up during the gameplay, background for the BattleTech world, and just cool stuff that happens, can only happen in a video game. Little bugs, little glitches, little weird things the AI do that just times so perfectly. But I'm going to be editing that together and posting that as well. But I wanted to get this video put together so I could start going back and streaming some of the plot missions, because I'm currently got another plot mission lined up that I'm about ready to take on. Mostly because I need the money. And the plot missions pay out like double or triple what your regular missions do. Plus you get full salvage. So I do want to take those missions. I do want to do them on stream, but I wanted to do this one off stream because of the you're getting the Argo, and the Argo is your base camp that you're upgrading. I also wanted to be able to take my time doing that not on stream, and I also wanted to, this is a plot mission, and I was worried I wouldn't be able to pass it. And if you fail the other missions, you just fail, you lose some of your rating. This one you have to replay again, reload your save, and try again. I didn't think anyone would want to watch me if I happen to fail this. This was my first time playing through, which you can tell I'm not using any foreknowledge or anything, because you can see me trying to investigate parts of the map where there's nothing there, just to make sure it's on my sensor range. But this first section, there's 2 turret generators here. There's also 4 more up against the prison wall, and then there's a bunch of vehicles. Vehicles in this BattleTech game are the most deadly they have been in any licensed BattleTech video game, and even worse than they are in the tabletop game, because normally they're just an afterthought. Oh, and there's some support vehicles, because as much as we love our big giant stompy robots, it never made logistical sense that they would be the only military forces along with them and the aerospace fighters. Which there's no aerospace fighters in this game that I'm aware of.
Intruder alert! All combat units, prepare
But I found out the hard way that once you start getting into the heavy and assault vehicles, they are no joke in this. They don't drop like paper, like wet paper, like other BattleTech games have, and they can carry some serious arsenal on them, especially the missiles.
Engaging jump jets.
Yeah, if you're playing this game and you see something that says missile carrier, either SRM carrier or LRM carrier, you now have a first priority target, especially those SRM carriers. Now, the reason why it has to do with how this game handles damage compared to the tabletop game. See, on the tabletop game, what you do, it works out very, very similarly to this. When you move around on the map, you move, and the initiative is a little bit different. I'm not going to go too much into the nitty-gritty of it, but you move your mech, then you have an attack phase. And the way you roll an attack is you roll to hit, and then you roll to see where on the mech you hit. Like if you hit the arm, the shoulder, the right torso, the left torso, center, so on and so forth. Facing matters, angle matters, all that stuff still matters. So does elevation and cover, but it's one roll per weapon system. So you fire a laser, you roll to hit with that laser. You roll to hit with each one that you fire. You roll to hit with each missile battery you fire. So you fire an LRM-5, an SR-2, or SRM-2, an LRM-20. It doesn't matter. You're rolling once for each battery you fire. This game does something very similar with the random number generator, the RNG. Except it rolls to hit and hit location on every single individual missile. Now, probabilities have also changed in this game. So, missiles, so the chance to hit the head in the game is, you have to roll 12 on 2d6. So it's a 1 in 36 chance that you'll hit the head. In the video game, it is a 2% chance. So 1 in 50. But like I said, every missile rolls individually. So if you've got two LRM-20s, which is very possible even on a medium mech to get that in. There might be paper-thin armor, but you can get those. Get that on a mech. You fire 40 missiles. There's a good chance one of them's going to hit him in the head. And a pilot can only take 3, 4, maybe 5 hits before they're dead. Which, this is a thing in game design a lot of people don't think about. Is that anything that happens that's random chance is going to happen to the player characters exponentially more often, orders of magnitude more often. It's going to happen to them than it will happen to any one specific NPC. Because NPC characters, whether it's monsters you're fighting in D&D or enemy fighters in BattleTech or other NPC armies in war games, it doesn't matter. The NPCs are only going to be affected for 1, maybe 2. If they're reoccurring, they may come up a couple of times. But the player characters are always the focus, so they're always the target. So if something, say, does a critical hit, for example, player characters are going to soak more critical hits than any monster or NPC ever will through the course of the campaign. This becomes a problem with things that do insta-kills. Headshots to a mech can be an insta-kill, especially because you can get injured twice from one weapon hit. A hit to the head does 1 injury. Falling automatically does 1 injury.
Brought it down, Commander.
So if I fire a missile battery at you, and I get lucky, and 2 of those are a head hit, plus you fall over, on a pilot that hasn't upgraded guts, that's a dead pilot in 1 hit.
Commander.
And that gets scary When you get those LRM carriers, they're running, I believe, 3 LRM 20s. That's 60 missiles per shot. The SRM carriers are 60 tons, have a lot of armor, and pack SRM 6s. So they launch 6 missiles. And thankfully, they're shorter range. So if you can stay out of range, but that is now your highest priority. Those are the most dangerous things I have found in the game. I would rather face a heavy mech than an SRM carrier. The heavy mech may take longer to bring down, but that SRM carrier is going to do more damage because it has 10 SRM 6 launchers on it. That means it is firing 60 missiles that do double stability damage and 4 hit points of damage per missile. That's 240 damage if all the missiles hit. My heavy mech that I just got in the game only has 200 points of armor in the chest. Now, I've been talking over a lot of what's been going on here, just talking about the game in general. I'm just squashing vehicles. I killed the 2 of the turret generators, which took out some of the turrets that would have been firing at me. I got them fast enough that they didn't get a chance to fire on me, I don't think. Now I'm about to set off the other turrets, and those 4 bars down there are the other turret generators. Then there's the vehicles. Now, the configuration I've got on the Shadowhawk is kind of weird. It's an LRM and... wait, nope. I've still got almost a default configuration. I got my SRM 6 in there. So this is a little bit different. I ended up swapping this up later on, so it ended up with an AC5 and an LRM 10. And that's all I had. So it was kind of a long-range snipery thing, and it ended up not being as interesting to play with that mech. So I ended up switching that up to something else. The last loadout I had on that was 3 medium lasers and 3 LRM 5s, which I liked better than just 1 LRM 15 because it gives me more flexibility in targeting and in heat management and stuff like that. Plus, 3 LRM 5s are 3 tons, and LRM 15's 6 tons, or 5 tons. So that's more armor I can cram on the thing.
They've got a sensor lock on me.
And that's bad because, hey, there's the large laser turret that just fired. Thankfully, the turrets didn't do much to me in this. That would be a crap load of autocannon turrets firing. And another large laser. Another thing that was challenging with this map in particular, because you're running into stuff at such long range, and with that mountain in the way, is I've split my lance, so it's pretty much a solid lance. This is the lance I go with most of the time. It's Behemoth, Glitch, Abstruse, and Decker. And Abstruse is my avatar character. The other 3 are the first 3 members of the company with you when you start the game. And so far, I have lost no one. The only person that came close was Behemoth came close once, and I died, but plot armor saved me, because your character cannot actually die. Which is also a reason why I normally, when I play BattleTech, I prefer to put my player characters that are closer to the roles that I have Behemoth and Glitch in. Which is, stand still, so you don't build heat, and also you're grounding yourself better, and shoot and hit everything you can. You don't need as much piloting, but you need a lot of gunnery to do that. And that's what I focused on with them. And since they've leveled up, they're leveling up piloting as well, because they're doing a little bit more melee and stuff like that. But mostly it is, I've got them to stand there and be artillery. And they're also heavily armored so they can soak up hits. And the reason why is because this game has 2 passive benefits that you can get for a character. You can get both of them, but they're kind of mutually exclusive. Because there's 4 skill trees. There's piloting, gunnery, guts, and tactics. and if you can only get the special abilities of 2 of the 4, and you can only get the final special ability of 1 of the 4. So you have to make choices as you're going along when you're leveling up your character. You have to be careful because it locks you in when you level them up to a certain point if you don't level up the skills you want first. So I made a conscious choice. Behemoth and Glitch are both basically stand still gunnery. They get an ability called Bulwark, which means as long as they don't move in around, they are automatically entrenched, which makes them harder to knock over, and they're also guarded, which means they take half damage. And this is Darius explained that there's 2 gates to the prison where you can jump over. I would have jumped over if I'd remembered that I could, but I ended up just going for a gate. I was kind of worried about blowing both the gates because I was really worried there was something in there. My sensors weren't showing me anything, so I assumed I was okay. But I didn't want to blow open both the gates unless I was sure I was flanking an enemy inside. Here's a little UI problem with the game. If you saw right there, I was having trouble selecting what I was trying to click on, and that's because that turret generator sign that's at the top, that lets you know what it is, how much structure it has left that you have to do, got in the way of me clicking on and targeting the actual generator. Because there's kind of, aside from the square that's there, there's kind of an invisible section where the little arrows are too. If you try to, so it looks like you can click what's underneath there to target it, but you can't. And sometimes I would think early on before I learned that I was trying to click on something I couldn't target, which was not fun.
What can I do for you?
Because it ended up delaying me a couple of turns in some missions. But what I'm doing now is I'm trying to take out those turrets because, again, it's just a large laser, but this is also still a point in the game where large lasers are still kind of a pretty big threat even on their own. The ACs are still kind of a threat, and it's also sitting there getting peppered with it every round.
Tell me what to shoot.
And I'm actually kind of trying to be efficient and making things worse for myself. The way I'm approaching it is I'm trying to spread it out so I'm not wasting shots, but I'm also not taking anyone down because each turret is tied to one generator. And if I had focused fire on one generator, did an alpha strike to one generator, I would have blown it each time. Instead, I have been spreading it out. And so they're still up and running, and each turn I'm having to focus fire on there instead of on the vehicles. And the vehicles are also peppering, but they're not peppering us nearly as badly as, say, the turret generators are. But you see what I'm talking about, that little section by those arrows? Okay, did you hear that coin noise? If you're a streamer, I use Streamlabs OBS, and I also use Streamlabs chatbot for the chat room. If you ever go to our Twitch channel over at twitch.tv/Gamers Tavern Show, you may see Tavern Keeper Mac. That's our bot. He does little commands for us and keeps track of loyalty, stuff like that. Another thing that Streamlabs does, is anytime there's any sort of donations to the channel or new followers, or if I eventually get affiliates, any subscribers or bit donations, all of those give notifications, and it's a sound notification that comes through my speakers so I can hear it if I'm playing the game. And I can look over and say, oh, hey, thank you, whoever. The problem is those notifications stay active if you have the chat bot window open. And I also have my accounts tied to my Humble Bundle account, which my Humble Bundle affiliate account is also, I use that professionally. I use that when I'm writing for Ian World or for other outlets, at least the ones that will let me use my personal affiliate accounts. And I always disclose those as well because that's a legal requirement. But the thing is, when I post those articles, people will go to them, they'll click on the links, they'll buy stuff, and they'll purchase the bundles, they'll purchase items from the store that I've linked to, and then a notification comes up on my Streamlabs, because most people who have the Humble Affiliate account are just streamers, but I'm mostly a writer. and a reporter. So that's where most of mine come through, and it gets kind of confusing sometimes. It's like, oh, where did that noise come from? It's even worse when you forget you have that open. You finished a stream, but you leave the chat bot open, and then you do something else like watch a movie. So I was watching, I want to say it was Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm not entirely sure. The first Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm not entirely sure that's what it was. But at some point, I'm watching a dramatic scene, and all of a sudden, I hear coins dropping. I'm like, what the hell was that? And what it was is someone had purchased something on Humble Bundle. The worst was when I got a follow. It shouts out, cheers! And I had my volume turned up because the streamer I was watching a streamer, and it was really low, and all of a sudden that shouted at me and scared the ever-loving crap out of me. So if you're a streamer and you use Streamlabs, just know those notifications are going to be on. They're going to play on your computer, so make sure to turn that off or at least mute it. But at this point, I'm starting to realize, okay, I need to focus on those turrets a little more. And if you see how those bands work, this is something that took me a lot longer to figure out than I'd like to admit, but those are range indicators. Lighter gray means you're either in extreme range for the weapon or for long range weapons like the AC2 or the AC5. AC is autocannon, by the way. For those weapons, or for like LRMs, they have a minimum range. PPCs have a minimum range. They're only effective if a target is so far away from you, because otherwise they don't target properly. Those show up in a lighter gray to let you know there's going to be a penalty. Extreme ranges, the ones that are outside your normal range but you can still hit, also show up in a lighter gray. And each weapon has its own overlay, so you'll see if you have a mech that has a good variety of weapons that have different short, medium, and long ranges.
Good to go.
It ends up creating almost like a rainbow effect. And it's kind of cool. And when you watch the clips video, you're probably going to see a lot of me because
On my way.
Both with Glitch, she's got two medium lasers and an LRM. And there's this one little band that is only about, I want to say it's only like 60 meters or something, or 45 meters, where she is both out of the minimum range and in the standard range for the medium weapons. And then you can see me fiddling with positioning, trying to get just right. Because I also have the same thing on Abstruse's mech right now. I have, like I said, I've got 3 medium lasers and 3 LRMs. And I always try to get that white band sweet zone where I can fire all my weapons in an alpha strike and have the best chance to hit. And it took me a lot longer than I'd like to admit to figure out that trick with the range. And so you get to pick that before you decide on where you go, so you can figure out, oh, hey, I'm too close, I'm too far. Okay, now I'm finally taking out that last generator, I think. And that was also probably the least annoying one. Wait, no, there's 2 generators left still. Sorry about that. Water went down the wrong pipe for a second. And if it seems like I'm talking about stuff that's not related to what's actually happening on the screen, it's because this is actually, I didn't realize this until I started doing it. It's a lot easier to talk about a strategy game like this while you're playing it on a live stream than it is to watch later, especially since it's been a few days since I played this mission. So I'm trying to think back, okay, why did I do that? What reasoning did I have for that? What was I trying to do when I was trying to figure out that jump there? And it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to figure out what to talk about, honestly.
Warning. Armor low.
Yeah, that was that light sniper turret I haven't finished taking out yet. Like I said, I've been splitting fire, which is not a good thing. The best strategy in this game, usually, is to get the entire lance to focus fire on whatever the most dangerous threat is, take it out as fast as possible, and move on to the next one. If you spread it out, it makes them... If you spread your fire out, especially if you go like 1-to-1 style combat where you match up mechs to fight each other, that makes it a lot more dramatic, but it's not as optimal because you can get in serious trouble that way because
Fresh real estate available.
you're basically... Unless you've got one of the heavier medium mechs or a heavy mech versus a light mech, you're almost never going to get a single volley kill from one mech in a single round of combat.
Armor low.
And only the light and medium vehicles are going to be able to take out like that. When you start getting to the heavy or even the assault vehicles, again, until you're getting into heavy and assault mechs, those aren't going to be taken out in a single volley. That becomes a problem when they're able to dish out punishment as well. And if you're not focusing fire to take out enemies as fast as possible, every enemy you don't take out is an enemy that gets to fire back at you. So you want to spread yourself out to make sure that the AI isn't doing the same thing, because the AI will do that. They will laser focus on one unit. And that is why I've got Abstruse as kind of he's basically a lancer is the best description of it, but he basically moves around the board because he gets bonus evasion points as opposed to standing still and doing the bulwark like Glitch and Behemoth. And Decker has the same ability. The more he moves around the board, the more evasive he gets. Now here's something I could not figure out is why in the hell I thought it was a good idea to overheat, because it's kind of metagaming, but it's also kind of not. That I knew these vehicles in this turret was not all that I was going to be facing. I knew once I get in the prison, it's going to be triggering the second phase to this mission. So I overheated myself and did structural damage to my mech. Which you, when it happens, you'll see all these little numbers fly up. That's damage being done to the internals of the mech due to overheating. And it's no fun, because that means automatic repair bill right there. From the overheating. But it also gets, there is abilities you can take, I believe it's Guts. As you level that up as a pilot, you eventually get where you can reduce how, you increase how much heat you can tolerate before you start getting penalties and before the mech starts getting, I don't know how your health, like your personal health, because it's also your hit points, makes the mech channel heat better. Don't know, but I'm assuming it's like your ability to run in the red line is better. And you're also sturdier, so you can take more heat that's radiating up to the cockpit. But it also gets dangerous because the amount of heat that the mech itself can handle doesn't increase when it comes to the full bar for a shutdown.
Good to go.
And shutdowns are bad because your mech is out of the action and is a sitting duck.
Moving to position.
And the enemies can take called shots. And one thing I've learned is that the AI has a chance for a called shot. They will take the called shot. And it will not be fun. If you don't have a part of the mech that's already low on ammo for them to focus on, like a torso or an arm, they will always focus on the head. But see, in this case, the focused fire I was doing, the split fire, actually helped out because I did have enough firepower to take out the one vehicle, and the peppering of the other one managed to bleed off some armor, which will make it easier for the next one. And that's why I like having a good mix of close-up and long-range weapons on each mech, so they always have something they can contribute, and if they have the heat they can manage on, it lets them also split the difference. Like they can fire some weapons at something that's close and some weapons at something that's far.
Affirmative.
You don't want to do that if you can help it, because you want to focus your fire on one specific enemy and take it out, but sometimes it's more optimal if you've got a 30% chance to hit something that's far away, or an 85 or 90% chance to hit something that's closer. Focus all your fire on the main target and then shoot a couple at the other one. And when I do the clips video, you'll be able to see me do this a lot, especially when it comes to light mechs, because this is this was the point in the game where the vehicles are done, you're out of combat, but you still have to walk up to the gate. So I kind of sped up the video here, and it's kind of a shame I sped it up a little bit too much, because when I was doing the clips episodes, it's about like 12, 14 hours of footage, and here we actually are blowing the gate, so this is real time again. But one thing I was doing is I didn't want to watch through 12 to 14 hours to catalog and pull clips out, so what I did was I loaded up all the videos in a playlist and then played them back at triple speed. And you couldn't see it there very well, but
I read you, Commander.
I'm hopefully going to remember to put this in the video itself so you can see what it looks like. But when you get those close-ups over the shoulder of the mechs running,
Got it.
played in double time, it is absolutely hilarious. It's like watching a toddler with shoes on that are too big trying to run. It is the funniest thing ever, because it's these big, huge, giant death machine stompy robots bobbling around. It's great. I love it. Okay, the prison is ours. I wish you would have said that after all my mechs were actually in the prison.
Sit tight, Commander. Lady Arano is aware of the situation. Reinforcements are on the way.
All right. So, what do I have to fight, and how long do I have to fight it? See, if you'd waited until I got all my mechs in, I would know what that was. Because I would have all my mechs inside. You jerks. And I'm probably going to be commenting a little bit more on this, because this is the actual battle mech fight. Shooting vehicles, there's not much you can talk about. Shooting mechs, that's a little bit different. And as you can see here, again,
Lifting off.
I would say I was trying to get in range, but as you can see, he's a little bit out of range. The thing is, the sensor lock ability, what it lets you do, you see those mechs that are in orange in the background? They're within my sensor range, but I can't see what they are because they're on line of sight until I use sensor lock. Then that reveals them. It also allows for indirect missile fire. So I sensor lock that one. I now know what that mech is, and I can let my other team that's further back can now start shooting LRMs at it. Here's the slightly annoying thing. Did you notice? Now I see it's a trebuchet. I didn't know that before, because when you click on the sensor lock, it reveals the mech's model on the board, but it doesn't give you the name information before it immediately switches over, because using sensor lock ends your turn. So trying to hover the mouse over to find out what mech I just revealed becomes a race that I have yet to win. I have never gotten it before it moves away to the enemy turn banner. And if the enemy that it's switching to isn't on the same screen, and yay, a Centurion, that's fun, but I got a Centurion too. Let's see how well that works out. But I'm trying to get it on there. If the other mech that it's going to isn't on the same screen as the mech you're trying to identify, and it's moving around, it's going to follow that mech. Or if it's a mech that was already on the board that you already had line of sight to and knew what it was, it's going to focus on that one. And you're not going to see which one is in the back until you can finally force the map over, and you're left in this weird suspense where you should know but don't know what mech that is. Which can be a problem if you don't have your tactics up high enough, because if you have your tactics up high enough, those unidentifieds will also give you the mech's weight. If you see a 20T, you know it's a Locust. Locusts are the only 20-ton mechs. But, yeah, the only other way to figure it out is if they're showing up in the initiative order. You can get a general idea unless there's one exception. There's a pilot. There's an ability that if you level up your tactics all the way up to its highest level, is to knock you up an initiative bracket. Otherwise, all light mechs go on 4, medium mechs on 3, heavies on 2, assaults on 1. And then the 5 is if you're in a light with tactics. If you're in a medium with tactics, you go off on 4, and so on and so forth. So you see the chevrons there. I have got a light mech, 2 mediums, and a heavy mech on the board. And so I'm now trying to take those out. Now, there is one advantage that I have in every single fight. The first thing I do when I get a new mech is I strip out all the equipment. I take there's a button you can click that takes out all the heat sinks, all the jump jets, and all of the weapons. And then there's a button to click on to max armor. And I max out armor on every single one, so I can always take more hits than the enemy mechs can. I'm a little bit worried about that Gunnery because it is a slight bit of a weapons boat, and I was hoping I could take it out in that one shot, and it didn't, unfortunately. And here's our heavy mech. That was an autocannon. Oh yeah, here is Lady Arana making an entrance. So do I have an entrance theme for her?
Good to go.
I missed the moment. But yeah, she busts down the wall to come in. Now, here's the only problem with that. I don't know. Apparently she has, I've read somewhere she has plot armor when she's in missions. But this one added, ensure Kamiya survives as a mission objective. So I'm thinking it's possible for her to die in this mission. So now not only do I have to get this lance out of the way, thankfully I've got a very assault-capable medium mech on my side to help out. But it's controlled by the AI. And sometimes the AI can be a wee bit suicidal. But for example, you look at the Gunnery that I've got and how much armor I have, and if you look at the Gunnery that they have, it's the same. I believe it's the same build of Gunnery, but mine's maxed out armor. That's why it's also not laser boat like the other ones. It only got 2 medium lasers on it. It doesn't have the SRMs and the 4 medium lasers. And that's because I want survivability. I've actually grown attached to a lot of the characters. Now, my personal favorite is, of course, Glitch.
I copy.
If you listen to the MechWarrior dialogue as they're moving around, you see Behemoth is just like, I'm copy, yes, Commander, yes, sir, Commander, stuff like that. Actually, I don't think to use sir because I don't think they say sir, but yes, Commander, moving out, moving forward, engaging jump jets, very clinical, very dry, affirmative. Oh yeah, Jaeger mech. But I was hoping that would take that one out too. Anyway. And here's what I mean. She charges right up and starts shooting him in the back. Now, that is a very good way to get the AI to immediately turn around and start attacking you. And she also did that thing I said not to do, which is split fire. The only difference is Kamiya's leveled up a lot more, and she had an ability I didn't have at the time, which is why I was less annoyed at it. Because there's an ability, if you max out your Gunnery, called Breaching Shot. If you fire just one weapon at a target, and multi-attacks don't count, it's just one weapon per target. If you have 3 weapons and fire each one at 3 different targets, that's one target. But it ignores cover and entrenched, so it does full damage to any target that might have that little shield next to it that lets you know it's taking half damage. It works really great in conjunction with weapons that fire. Basically, if you can get down You can alpha strike pretty easily, mixing up a lot of these abilities and take out even an equivalent mech. But again, my mechs are a lot more survivable than the stock models because I focus a lot more on armor. It lowers my armament some, but I'm also a human being. I'm not a computer AI. So I have a lot more ability to basically take out... I have a tactical advantage thinking more than a computer. This is not a solved game. This isn't chess. The computer probably isn't going to beat me unless it gets lucky or overwhelming odds, and there are still some balance issues with the weapons in this game, which is perfectly fine with me because there's balance issues with the tabletop game, and there has been since I was playing in the 90s. But anyway, if you happen to notice, I'm trying to get Glitch, and because they got the nice pools of water there, I might as well use them. I'm trying to get Glitch and Behemoth into the water. If they're in the water, their heat sinks are more efficient, and then I don't got to worry about them. They can sit there. They're also kind of in the middle, but still far enough away that their long-range weapons will still work. That's what I'm trying to do, and once they stay there, they can stay there. It'll take half damage because of the bulwark. Now, I'm trying to jump around all over the place because I get evasive chevrons because I have the evasive ability. Anyway, what I was talking about with the NPCs themselves is Behemoth and Decker and Medusa, which are your starting lineup, and a lot of the ones you hire along the way. I've picked up a couple of others. One's called Scrub. I'm forgetting the other one's name. They're going to be pissed at me. But I picked up a couple of other mech warriors, and they all talk in that same sort of way. They do have their own personalities, especially when you start getting into a lot of the missions that pop up when you get the Argo. As you go along, little things will happen like pirates attack and stuff like that. It's kind of cool where you get to make choices like if the pirates attack, do you pay them off? Or do you try to stall to fight them? Or if you're in good with the local government, you can call for backup. If you're in good with the underworld, you can say, hey, do you really want to rob me? I'm connected to so-and-so criminal syndicate. You really want to mess with me? And scare them off.
Commander?
And you make choices, and each one has a different thing that can happen, like different advantages. It's kind of cool. And you find out a lot more about their personalities that way. You also find out a lot more in your interactions with them as you go along, and even the voice acting does do a lot, even with those stock lines. Glitch, though, has a lot of personality. Everyone else is very matter-of-fact. Jumping, the very matter-of-fact. Glitch is just so happy to be here. It is a joy. She would rather be nowhere else than on a battlefield shooting and killing people. And she is gleeful about it. It is lovely. It's a nice little breath of fresh air. But I can also understand why a lot of people playing this game will end up finding that a little bit cloying. Because it is limited to the voice acting they've got. There's not a whole lot to it. But Glitch is she's so happy. And it makes me happy that she's happy. You know? She actually enjoys herself.
Location confirmed.
Yeah, now I've got Behemoth waist deep in the water, nice cool going on. I can fire the entire boat worth and never have to worry about heat buildup. You see how little heat I'm getting with firing all the lasers and the LRM. In fact, I think that's negative heat, even with the movement. So if I can get her standing still now, she'll be bulwarked and just be able to fire every round. And damn, I almost got that Jaeger mech down. See what I mean about concentrated fire? Everyone has been firing on the Jaeger mech and only really focusing on other enemies.
Firing.
And right now I'm doing target assessment because we took out an arm on that Jaeger mech. We got a couple of critical hits on it, so it lets you know which weapons it still has going. If you've got a mech that's on the board that you've already critted out all its weapons, that's no longer the biggest threat. Sure, it can still run up and melee you, and with heavy mechs that's still a problem. But especially with light mechs, it's just not a thing you have to worry about. They don't have weapons that can't attack you. They can run up and melee you, but that's it. But it's also one of the reasons why.
Armor left in that location.
Yeah, but you have a that mech has over 1,000 points of armor. The stock version has like 500 spread out over the entire mech. So that's why anytime I'm in a toe-to-toe fight with another mech of the same class, I'm never that worried about it, because they may be able to do more damage to me, but I'm going to survive it, and my entire lance is going to focus fire back. But yeah, I updated the threat assessment. An LRM laser boat is a threat. That's why I made a point of focusing on it. And that's why I made a point of making them too. Most of my mechs, the only reason why if it's not a medium laser LRM combo, it's mostly because I don't have the hard points, the firm points, to attach the weapons I want on them. At least for me, that's been my best combination. Some of them work better, because I've got large lasers on the Centurion because it only had the one missile point, and I didn't want to waste. Actually at this point, I have 2 LRM 20++s, one of which does additional stability damage, and one of them does additional crit chance. But I'm afraid to use them this early in the game. I want to hold, because if it gets destroyed, it's gone. I can replace it with a bunch of the regular LRM-20s, but the advanced models are gone. I can't get them back. I gotta wait for them to come up in the store or come up as salvage. And I'm always too paranoid to put them in. I don't know why I had the SRM++ in here, probably because I knew I wasn't going to keep using SRMs very long in the game. And also I wanted to play with at least one of the toys. But I only ever have one of the 2 LRM 20++s out in the field at any given time. And that is just a protective measure to make sure that I've always got one in reserve in case something happens. But when I get some heavy mechs and things like that, I might do it. I might figure out how to put in one of the another LRM 20s in the other one. I've also got a PPC++ that just will not work in anything right now because it's too heavy and it means taking up too much armor. Because the heavy mech I got was it's a quick draw, which I'm upgrading from a Griffin to a quick draw, which is a 5-ton difference. And honestly, the only thing I'm gaining is a little bit of armor, and I'm losing 1 LRM rack, which is or 1 LRM.
Can't let this prison fall.
Well, I just took out the heavy mech, so that's not a problem anymore, and yay salvage! Unfortunately, I cored it, so I didn't get to salvage that much of it.
Light damage, Commander.
Of course, that's why I have you on all the armor.
Orders?
And like I said, I've grown attached to the NPCs at this point. I don't want any of them to die. And I honestly think if one of them did die, I would probably do a reload. I know that's bad gamer, but I play for the stories, and it's just no fun if you lose your favorite characters. And this is one of the reasons why I ended up picking the piloting ability for Decker, is because right now he's got a perfect shot at the back of every single mech there. Actually, no, he has already moved because you jumped, but sometimes you're in a perfect position and you don't want him to move. So, anyway, hopefully he can take out that trebuchet. The only problem is, I wasn't really thinking that way when I went behind them because they've all been taking damage from the front. Okay, so he hadn't moved yet. But if he had fired, normally I would be able to fire and then move at this point in the game because there's an ability to let you do that. Otherwise, you have to move and then fire.
I copy.
But the back shots would have been great, except for they've been taking so much damage to the front and sides that I've already peeled off all the armor there. The only spots that most of those mechs, especially the trebuchet, still have armor is in the back, so that was actually worse. And pilot injured. You're always watching for that pilot incapacitated, because that means the mech's down and you're probably going to get 2 salvage out of it because you didn't core it. There's actually a formula. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but there's a formula online that tells you exactly how much salvage you get from how much of a mech is left. The best way to do it is to take out the pilot himself or take out both legs. That gets you 3 salvage. I can't remember the specific conditions between 2 and 1 salvage, but I do know if the center torso explodes, you're only getting 1. And that is usually, the only thing is, that is one of the only ways to really effectively take out a mech is destroy the center torso. It's the most heavily armored spot, but it's also the one that's hit most often, and all shots, hit locations, the way it's determined, and this is the way in the tabletop game too, is when you roll to hit a location, you roll no matter what. So the odds are the same no matter how many limbs are left. So you roll, and it's the same chance to get left arm and right arm. It's the same chance to get left torso, right torso, and so on. But if you roll a location that doesn't exist, like if the mech's lost its left arm and you roll left arm, then it's going to hit the left torso. If it rolls the left torso, then it still hits the left torso, and so on. And all of that bleeds to the center. So the center is always going to be the one that's going to be most likely to take damage. It's the most likely hit spot in general, and it's the most likely, and it goes up the more limbs you remove, because that's more damage getting redirected there. For example, if the left torso if the left torso's gone, that takes the arm with it. But if the left torso's gone, the left arm is gone, the chance of hitting the center torso is the normal chance for hitting center torso. If you roll to hit left torso, it redirects to the center torso. And if you roll to hit left arm, it goes from left arm to left torso to center torso. So those odds go up every time.
Good to go.
But you can see the hit probabilities right there on the screen. If you back up and freeze frame it, it tells you what the hit probabilities in the video game are for any specific location. Right there on the, anytime you do a called shot, it'll let you know what the standard choice is.
You get a headshot, and you get a headshot.
See what I mean? She's just so happy and optimistic because getting a headshot is rare. And pilot incapacitated. Bye-bye.
Should have run when you had the chance.
And she's taunting them, and she's thrilled. It's just a joy to work with her. So, game designers, if you're watching,
Good to go.
and you want... Glitch is the anti-Lydia from Skyrim. She is condescending, rude, reluctantly obeys any commands you give. If you ask her to hold something, it's dry sarcasm. And it's a trudge to have her around, and I'm pretty sure anyone who doesn't decide, hey, I want to do a marriage option, probably has either intentionally or... Holy hell! Kamiya, what did you do? I forgot that happened. Jeez, I had to get me a katana. But anyway, she's just not fun to be around. Glitch is fun to be around, but again, I can understand why other gamers would find her a little bit cloying, because that sort of cheerfulness can get on your nerves all the time. But it's nicely counterbalanced by all the other ones being kind of dry. And there we go. The prison is ours. Thanks for the assist, Lady Arano. There'll be no celebrating after what I saw there. Gods, Darius, the things the Directorate has done to these people. Kamiya, I need you to meet me in the prison hospital. Right now. What is it? Better you see for yourself. And Kamiya, prepare yourself. This isn't going to be easy. And mission successful. I have yet to see what the mission failure looks like yet, although there's a couple of times I've gone through a mission and thought, I don't know how the hell that was a success after what all the crap that went wrong. But see what I mean about the missions? I got 1.7 million C-bills, and I get full set. I think I get 4 choice and then like 13 other. So, of course, the first thing I did was made a beeline for the heavy mech, and then I got me a trebuchet to take out the pilot. And sometimes you're lucky, the RNG will randomly give you another one. See, I got a chunk of the Centurion. Sometimes you get lucky and it'll throw you some salvage from there, too, on the random.
By the time our forces found him, it was too late. I'm sorry, Kamiya. He was here all this time. Rashu.
So Raiju was alive the whole time. Well, not anymore, but this was actually this part of the game was a bit of a turning point for me for the Kamiya character. She before you know, so if you watch the first stream, I'm talking about at the very beginning. The game kind of gives its spoiler away. And before we get, I'm going to pause this so I can talk a little bit about it. The way the game starts with Kamiya's character is she is a noble lady. She is about to take the throne, and she comes off as a noble. She's not mean. She's not cruel, but she's got this attitude of, I know I'm better than everyone else, and it's very much a, how dare you do this to me? Not how dare you betray the people, not how dare you betray our country. It's how dare you usurp my throne that belongs to me. That's the impression I got from Kamiya in the first scene. And at the very first cutscene of the game, it's Kamiya after we have won the game and beaten the plot, her explaining how she didn't know if it was for loyalty for her or just for the money. So I'm like, yeah, it's for the money. I'm a mercenary. Her reaction in there kind of cemented that, and I've always played against her, because when I play games, I do like to roleplay a lot. I like to get into the character's head and act how they would act, even if the character is just an avatar of me. Because I would react differently if I was raised in the situation that the character was raised in, even if it is supposed to be a representation of me and my personality. But specifically Kamiya, I was treating her standoffish. She's a highborn noble. I was from a noble family, and they exiled me, and I had to run off and steal my own mech to run away because I took the exile origin. And I can't and she represents everything that I ran away from. All the spoiled, I deserve this privileged life. And now that something's happened to her, she is upset. And then she passed away, and I'm like, well, I can't really speak ill of the dead. Then we find out she's alive, and I've still been kind of standoffish. Like, I haven't been gung-ho join your cause, but at the same time I haven't been rude to her either, because she's still rich. I'm still a mercenary, and I still want her money. Be professional, be polite, don't be mean, don't be rude. This is actually the scene in the game where I've actually turned a corner for my character. She talks about this. we're talking about Raiju. He meant more than that. Kamiya was mentored by Raiju as well as my character. The old man was like a second father to me, and my uncle condemned him to waste away on this rock, to die wretched and broken in agony. And then a hero's death should never do this. I'm not big on the avenge him. I'm not big on the he did it, let's do it. Yes, knows coming back from what I witnessed here today, the scale of the director's cruelty is unimaginable. What they've done here is monstrous. It's inhuman. Our intel was wrong, Alexander. The icebox isn't a prison. It's a meat grinder. Gods, my own family is behind this. And what's left of mine chose the other way. It is an easy thing to wrap your head around, so try to remain focused. We've just liberated the director's hostages. With a single blow, you've shattered your uncle's hold on the founding houses. The prisoners you set free are already calling you the Sword of Restoration. We need to spread this message around to Commodore to galvanize your supporters and weaken Espinosa's popularity there. I'm not going to question the support he has because I would kind of figure that out as Noble myself. It won't be an easy process for the last 3 years. Those who love House Arano have been keeping their heads down. We won't break them of that overnight. In truth, an appreciable percentage of Commodore's population support Director Espinosa. In centralizing power, he has proved quality of life on the throne. Our victory at Weldry, what we've seen happen to those will not be bought or indoctrined. They refused to kneel to a tyrant. What became of those people who were made to disappear, and soon enough the entire Reach will know it too. The moment is on our side. You're right, this isn't the time for hand-wringing, but Alexander, you didn't see what I saw out there, the other side of the battlefield. The work crews all hunched down and broken the graveyards, great fields of unmarked burial plots that stretch as far as the eye can see. Every time I blink, I can see it, the misery that was allowed to fester here. Now, I could be a braggart in Solaris and say I could get out, but I didn't want to say he's a monster. Let's focus on the positive. We set the people free. In the end, that's what matters. I'm trying to refocus her. I'm not certain the people will ever truly be free. Take a good long look at the eyes of these prisoners. Do you know what they'll see? My uncle's legacy. A wound that would never heal. And this is what turned me. I'm trying to refocus her on the positive and bring her back. Yang is also doing that. Bring her back to the fight. I'm trying to bring her back to we did good. He's saying you can still fight. That's what we want to do because we don't want her to get broken by this. We're wanting to inspire her, and her reaction to this is what turned the corner for me. I don't know if she grew from this or if it became a thing, or if she was already in her personality and she's just showing it to me as the player now. But it's really coming across as, okay, this cannot stand. I have the power to stop this, and I need to do something about it. And she's actually saying, I was raised this as a symbol. The Argo was going to be a similar thing. We don't need symbols. I need fighting men. So here, you go crush everyone. And this is actually, in BattleTech, the Argo itself is kind of a problem because even in the lore of the video game, there's only 2 that are in existence. But it's old Star League technology, and Star League technology that is still functional is exceedingly rare, and I would have the biggest bullseye on me from military intelligence and pirates and anyone else in the entire galaxy trying to get that thing.
People of the Oregon Reach, I am Kamiya Arano, and I have failed you. For 3 long years, Director Espinosa has imprisoned and starved and murdered our people. And where was I? Hiding in a palace, light years away, building support, planning. While the Directorate's secret police turned neighbor against neighbor, made your loved ones disappear, conscripted your children. I wasn't here. I didn't know. The crimes that I have witnessed here today are unforgivable. No doubt, Director Espinosa believes that the ends justify the means, that the Oregon Reach has been made strong. Well, I say that strength built on fear is brittle. The Directorate is a paper tiger, and I declare this restoration today to rally the true strength of our people, our resilience, and our freedom. Let Weldry be a call to arms. Join us, and together we will liberate the founding houses and retake Cormadir. Not because it is my birthright, but because the Directorate's crimes against you, the Oregon people, will no longer be tolerated. That is what I fight for, and I vow to fight for your freedoms to my dying breath.
Fuck yeah! Sorry. Got kind of caught up in that. But yeah, that's the Daenerys Targaryen Why We Fight speech, and she knocked it out of the park. So did the writing on this. This is Dr. Farah Murad. She was in the mission where we rescued the Argo from a pirate gang, and we had to get her on site. She and Yang just got no formality. Yeah, Doc. I'm going to call you Doc, by the way. You should probably go ahead and get used to it. You see, in Beirut, hey, my friend died. Or I say, thanks, we all appreciate it. Or say, Klinger's good, Space Thor's rather. I probably should have gone with the, is it ready for action? But I'm pretty sure we went with the, we all appreciate it because, yeah, clean, yeah, no. I've been to some punk communes back in the day, and no, I would not want to live in those apartments ever again. New crewmate, you know something we don't? I wouldn't say that because I kind of figured it out when she said that. Hey, we're finally getting an engineer. But he's a mech tech, he's not an engineer. There is a difference between the two. So I didn't just insult Yang. Yeah, she was angry on the ship because yeah, she was getting shot at and most of her crew got killed. But yeah, Alexander Madeira is also on the ship as well as a liaison for the restoration movement. I haven't interacted personally with either one of them. I've been holding that for the stream. Y'all see, in the game, all the orange text, if you hover over it, it gives you a tooltip that explains a little bit of the lore. So if you ever get lost and you see something in orange when you're playing the game, hover the mouse over it and it'll explain what it is, which is nice. Like I said, it gives you 3 options: Professional, Paragon, and Renegade. I would have liked a little bit more variance in the choices, but at the same time, it's a strategy game. There's not that much of a heavy role playing element, so that's kind of all you need. And also, you can choose and enter in between them and switch around. And it does bring in your origins every once in a while. Oh, and another big part of that, she said she was paying off my debts. No, she didn't. I'm still paying interest. I can see it on the financial reports every time it comes up. Yeah, time, money, and everything else. Yeah. And let me see, what was the...
That mech you wanted is back online.
That's the trebuchet I got. I can't remember if I actually ended up using that one or not. The thing was, though, I had to put it in storage. And that was the end of the video. Relooped. I had to put it in storage because I stopped the video there because I start going around everywhere else. Anyway, that's when I started really digging into starting to figure out how to rebuild the thing, because I really wanted that new mech bay, because whenever you have all of your mech slots filled and you get another mech, you have to send the mech to storage. But a mech has to be repaired to be able to be sent to storage. So if you just got a mech in salvage that you're going to want that you're wanting to use to replace a mech that you've already got, you can't do it. You have to send one of the other mechs to storage and then pull it back out again, which costs money, and that is such a pain. Or you can just scrap them and sell them all together, which you may not necessarily want to do, because you may want to keep that one as a backup eventually if you need it. But so I'm glad I got the second mech bay after this when I got it upgraded. That was one of the first things I did. But I did go through and I've upgraded the Argo a lot. I've leveled up my characters a lot. I have almost gone bankrupt and I've been flush with cash many a time, and it keeps bouncing back and forth. But like I said, I'm holding off on all of the plot missions, because even though they may have said, when she calls, we will come, I've been letting that thing just sit there and keep bouncing around this little corner of the galaxy, from planet to planet, just doing missions, because I want to get better mechs. I want to make sure that I can do everything else. I want to get all of this stuff done before I go on stream and before people are watching me just sit there and retune mechs. So anyway, hopefully when you come to the stream, and again, it's at Gamers Tavern, it's at twitch.tv/Gamers Tavern Show, and you can also find us on gamerstavernshow.com, and we're still at gamerstavern.org as well. Make sure to follow us there for updates. Anytime we upload any new videos, I make sure to put them up on there. And until next time, may all your hits be crits.